a couple of, an extra packet?
I do. There's one on the podium, and how many do you?
I'm just gonna get one at him in Atkins chair.
Yeah,
we can share.
we can share.
John, who's here? Who here is on the Rotary? Hands? Hands? Okay. Thank you for the library at the Grove Park. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. That's wonderful. It's a wonderful addition to Ward B, my ward. That play started early, so I don't know why I said it. I'm so sorry. That was probably really funny. Say it again. I said that play started early. Oh, yeah, yeah. Nothing like Virginia red clay, people. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. May we please have a roll call, Ms. Watkins?
Mr. Patterson,
Present.
Ms. French, Dr. Miller,
Present.
Ms. O'Connor, Mr. Weiss, Mr. Crute,
Here.
Ms. Furling.
Here.
All right, just deviate briefly from our agenda to welcome Sydney French, the new representative for Ward D. Thank you very much for your interest in your application for the Planning Commission. It's a meaningful job. It's an interesting job, but it's meaningful. And the certified planner class, one of the maxims they continue to press home is that you're not only planning for the current generation of Farmville residents, but for unborn generations too. You come on board at a timely opportunity where we're going to deliberate some things today that'll potentially change the character of neighborhoods and have some ramifications about mobility and pedestrian safety. So it's a welcome aboard. And if you got any questions at any point in time, please ask me, any commissioners, Ashley, or Michelle as well. We're going to need to approve the agenda, but we have to amend it first. We need to swap out for 7B, public hearing in lieu of an applicant statement. You'll hear a motion to amend the agenda accordingly.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our next item of business is the nomination and election of a vice chairperson with Mr. Davenport stepping down. That's opening for the vice chair. I'll open up the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Chair, I would love to nominate Patrick Crute as our vice chair.
Mr. Crute has been nominated. Mr. Crute, do you accept that nomination?
I humbly accept.
Okay. Any other nominations? If there are no other nominations, we'll go ahead and close the nomination period. There's been one nomination, Mr. Crute. I guess just for the sake of the record, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you for your service, sir. As they say, you're one breath away from responsibility. Our next item of business is the consideration of the minutes from the June 18th meeting. There's two sets of minutes, but we're focusing on the one of June 18th. Are there any changes to the minutes? And if not, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So move to approve.
All right, Mr. Patterson has made a movement. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Fraley is seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Our next item of business is the public participation period. This is where speakers have the opportunity to make statements on non-agenda items. Again, there's a public hearing to focus on the text of the proposed zoning amendment. Has anyone signed up to speak, Ms. Watkins, for the public participation?
No, sir.
Would anyone like to speak for public participation? All right. Our next item of business then is ZTA 25 TAC 001 sidewalks. We'll have a staff report, then a public hearing, and then deliberation for a planning commission recommendation to repeal section 2962D9 sidewalks and add section 2962 to require the installation, construction, and dedications of sidewalks for property being developed or subdivided in all of the zoning districts. Ms. Atkins-Austin, would you care to kind of give us a report, please?
Yes, sir. At the April 17th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting, Planning Commissioners recommended approval of a zoning text amendment to amend the subdivision ordinance to require a 5-foot sidewalk in the B1, B2, B3 zoning districts and the R1, R2, and R3 zoning districts. In addition to amending the subdivision ordinance, the zoning text amendment also amended the code section for site plans and required the construction of a 5-foot sidewalk along the street or roadway and a 5-foot sidewalk leading to the structure for any project that required a site plan. Town Council adopted the ordinance at their regular meeting on June 12, 2024. At their Town Council retreat held on February 7, 2025, Town Council discussed closing the loophole in the subdivision ordinance that allowed developers to install sidewalks on only one side of the street. Staff worked with the town attorney on an amendment to the subdivision ordinance, as well as moving the provision to its own subsection in the subdivision article. The proposed ordinance removes the provision from section 2962 D9D and places it as its own subsection in section 2962E. The proposed ordinance removes the requirement that sidewalks must be installed when one of 4 listed conditions were met. The added section requires sidewalks for any property being developed or subdivided if the land fronts on an existing street or a street being developed for residential use. In residential subdivisions, sidewalks are required along the frontage of each residential lot. I can take any questions about the staff report at this time.
Do any commission members have any questions at this moment? You can always loop back and ask more if anything come to mind. No? All right, thank you very much. We'll now move to the public hearing. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Mr. Crude has motion, Ms. Fraley has seconded to open up the public hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the public hearing is now open. Ms. Watkins, we got some people signed up.
Mr. Jake Romaine.
Good evening. Most of you know me. I'm Jake Romaine, do a bunch of different things in town, president of Farmville Downtown Partnership, owner of the North Street Press Club. I just want to talk about the proposed sidewalk amendment to the ordinance. Important to realize that there's already an ordinance in place, of course. This is closing a loophole of sorts. But I'm opposed to this ordinance because this does cause the price of new builds to increase through subdivisions. If we look back at how many homes have been built in the 23901 zip code over the last 100 years, what you will notice is that the numbers have gone from an average of between 50 and 100 homes a year to 5. So the problem isn't sidewalks and new builds, the problem is new builds. Increasing the cost of new builds isn't going to fix the housing shortage. I think that should be blatantly obvious to everybody. My second point on this is that the town currently spends no money to build new sidewalks. So the ask is that only new developments build new sidewalks. I find this very interesting. So I'll like keep my comments short and brief and to the point. So thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Luther Cyphers.
Thank you, and I think I've met most of you as well. My name is Luther Cyphers. I'm not a resident of the town, but I am a resident of Prince Edward County and an investor in the town. And I'm here as an investor and also as somebody whose first step in pursuing the American dream was homeownership. And essentially, because of what I've observed over the years and because of my personal experience, I truly believe that homeownership, the dignity of homeownership, is one of the pillars of our society. And it's one of the things that takes the members of our community from humble beginnings into a path of wealth creation. And I think we need to be, as representatives and as stewards of this municipality, we need to be stewards of that opportunity as well. I've been studying housing for about the past 18 months. This is something that's really important to me. I'm a problem solver and an innovator. So when I sold most of my business, Yak Attack, at the other end of town, I want to reinvest in something that has some impact on the community. And what I found is that while there are absolutely some opportunities for innovation in the private sector, most of the increase in costs, regardless of what you're hearing about labor and materials, it's driven by new regulations over the last 15 or 20 years. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter what we do in the private sector, when lot development costs are extremely high, that makes the lot too high in terms of percentage of bill of materials to build affordable homes. And what I'm considering to be affordable home in a community where the median household income is about $50,000 is $225,000. It is impossible today with the restrictions that we have in lot development. The other thing that's happening is in order to try to get a shot at an affordable home, we're going out on our state roads out in the county, and we're taking little 2 or 3 or whatever, depending on zoning regulations, chunks of farmland, because that's the cheapest way to get there. Even with a well and septic tank, when you add in all of the infrastructure requirements, tap fees, et cetera, it's still the cheaper way to go. So planned community development of houses that our most vulnerable in our communities can afford is literally becoming impossible because of overregulation. Unfortunately, 3 minutes is not a lot to articulate a really important issue like this, but maybe the gentleman would yield his minute and a half that he had left over. So to me, we need to be stewards of this opportunity for people to stand on their own feet and to pursue their own version of the American dream, including homeownership. And I'm not talking about social programs. I'm talking about the dignity of doing it on their own. And as much as we may think that making a better municipality is better for everyone, frankly, the ideal municipality is not always the ideal for the citizens that are living in the municipality, especially in an era of rapidly rising costs in every area of their lives. What I would ask the commission to do is take a little bit more time to study this, allow more than 3 minutes of input from stakeholders and people who understand this issue very well from the other side. And let's take this opportunity to do something
Mr.
that's good for our
Cyphers,
constituents.
your time is up.
This is my point. This is a very important decision, and it requires more than 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ian Brock.
So I apologize. I've been sick the better half of the week, so my voice is lacking. But Ian Brock, I own several businesses and properties in town, and one of them is Brock Construction. From a contractor's point of view, what is being sold to y'all normally as minimal cost for additional sidewalk is well more than just a sidewalk. It's design and engineering fees that get put on us. It's a lot of times leads to E&S controls, to stormwater management programs. These are tens of thousands of dollars getting added to lots, not just the cost of a small piece of sidewalk that's being sold to the public or being put in to change the ordinance. It goes well beyond that. And like I said, Dr. Miller just said, we're thinking about the future. If there's no homes built, there's no homes that can be afforded to be bought, there will be no town. And that's, all I have to say for what I got. But just trying to make the point of the cost goes well beyond just the sidewalk. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else who's not signed up to speak that wishes to speak? Do I hear then a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Mr. Cruder's motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Fraley, a second. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the motion has been, the public hearing has been closed. We'll now move on to deliberations. So this is an opportunity for us to get amplifying information based on the input we received from the public. If you've come up with any additional questions for Ms. Atkins-Austin, or we can begin just sharing our perspectives.
I have a question.
Ms.
So,
Wrench?
this is my very first day, so I apologize if I asked something really obvious. That's stupid. We didn't go over this earlier, but it had a little, not the one with the 3 dots. This one? Yeah. Cool, thanks. Okay, so first day, sorry if I asked something stupid, but when we say properties that are being developed, how are we defining that? So for example, if I go out to a street in the avenues that does not currently have a sidewalk, buy an empty lot and build myself a house, is that falling within this ordinance?
So no, this is in the subdivision section, so if somebody submits for a subdivision of property, that's when we would kick in the review for this.
Okay, so it's just subdivisions, not somebody purchasing a lot and building an individual home.
Correct. So an individual single-family home does not need a site plan, and it would not go before like a subdivision review.
Okay, thank you.
I think I'm just curious to learn more about this conversation regarding the loopholes experience. Just want to make sure we're not creating an issue that isn't there. So just would be curious to learn more about what you've experienced from a town perspective.
I will say I was not at that retreat, the town council retreat, so I'm not sure what the total conversation about the loophole was. But I believe this stems from Mr. Lapp's subdivision out on Lane Street, where he showed sidewalks only on one side of the street. And I think it was council's wish to make sure that all residential lots had sidewalks.
Councilman Yolanda Hardy, y'all care to speak to that?
I honestly, I'd rather not right now, just because I don't feel like it's our place. I'm sorry. I can do it.
No, just kind of verifying that indeed was the.
Yes, that was actually the concern, was that the development Mr. Lapp put up on Lane Street was given the opportunity to choose what side of the development he wanted to have sidewalks on. And he chose the less expensive side, the side around the center. And that's the loophole we're trying to figure out how to close in a way that is actively seeking participation from stakeholders. So solutions would be really great to have. So let's do that, okay? This doesn't have to be decided tonight, but that's the loophole we're trying to close.
That's better.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah, French, go ahead.
So is this only affecting new developments, or will this have any bearing on existing developments?
Just new subdivisions.
Thank you.
So I guess I'm curious, and maybe Ashley or Robert, you can speak to this. So I mean, from a layperson's perspective, this looks like a pretty, fixed, 5 foot's 5 foot. But, I mean, what kind of latitude is there to kind of have like solutions or have some kind of flexibility with the developer?
I don't believe there's any wiggle room to ask for any type of waiver of a requirement in this ordinance.
Okay, thanks. Well, we're kind of in the horns of some potentially competing interests here. If I can use this the lull in conversation as a way to frame the issue, perhaps. On one hand, the comprehensive plan is, speaks to a pedestrian-friendly town. Emphasizes pedestrian safety. But on the other hand, the comprehensive plan also does demand or does try to encourage affordable housing. And so this understandably, y'all's comments are well heard that this has, direct but also potentially indirect, impacts on the costs of building, which I imagine the developers themselves aren't going to be generous enough to absorb. And so does anyone care to speak about that?
I got one follow-up question. The language has been reviewed by the town attorney?
The language was written by the town attorney. Actually, I think it was Catherine Klein Douglas who wrote this ordinance.
I guess my thought here in this moment is I think there is an opportunity for a broader conversation. And, you know, I don't think it's one that we need to necessarily decide tonight, because I do think there's some thoughts worth considering in terms of the burden that we place on those developing the property. And I think just given that, you know, we've got some opportunity down the road for, you know, conversation with council, with the comprehensive planning process review, I think, you know, that could be a moment for us to just think a bit more broadly about those implications.
I guess that's something to keep in mind. I know it's not appropriate to ask and probably less appropriate to answer whether or not there are any, you know, subdivisions being kind of considered right now. So I'm assuming there's no urgency, there's no immediacy in terms of having this done. But I mean, it would be interesting to find out, like, you know, what is the, you know, the average cost, you know, to include this. Mr. Patterson brings up the comprehensive plan. I mean, this also seems like something that could be mitigated with other mechanisms that might be discussed about adding to the comprehensive plan. Ms. Fraley, you got something?
I do. I was wondering if there's any way to get any information about just safety aspects of what does this mean for the town if there are less sidewalks. You know, I'm thinking about, you know, we currently have sidewalks that are, you know, that are in need of repair and, you know, blocked by, you know, mailboxes and that sort of thing. And I'm always keen about making sure that sidewalks are accessible for our residents and for all walks of life and abilities. So I want to make sure that is taken into account as well. But and so I don't know if there's any information that we can gather about safety. And because I'm thinking about, you know, kids on school buses, and, you know, if there isn't a sidewalk and they have to cross the street, you know, is there any information or data that we can get to review to have as part of that conversation?
Is that plausible?
I think we could probably look for some VDOT data related to sidewalks. They used to have like a safe school zone where they required sidewalks or worked with localities to grant sidewalks in certain areas close to schools. But yes, I think we could pull some VDOT data on sidewalks and safety.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, yeah, what price do you put on safety? I mean, I know a lot of folks in here got small children, and I mean, that's something we need to be mindful of. Mr.
So
Crew?
I think, I feel like the consensus of the body is that this might be something to table, which I'm not necessarily opposed to. But I do have a couple thoughts. One, at the end of the day, I think the concern is who's paying the bill, whether it's the developers or whether it's the town or some other entity. And I think the answer should be all of the above in some fashion. The number, if this is only for lots that are being subdivided, the number of applicable applications we've reviewed in the last year is probably 3 to 5 off the top of my head. And so I don't think we're talking about a regulation that's going to impact terribly many people. And I think if you are in a place where you're subdividing a lot and building multiple buildings of varying densities, like there should be some contributions there. I also know, as if anybody drives around the town between the hours of 5 in the morning and 7 in the morning, there are numerous places where there are no sidewalks. And at least once a week during those hours, I am almost hit by a car. So I do think there is a problem that we as a community need to come together and solve. Because I do think that has a direct contribution to the long-term sustainability of our town. It attracts people to come move here. I mean, if you look at large urban areas, people are redeveloping and backfilling in no small part because people are attracted to being able to walk to different places. And I think it's definitely a safety risk as the person with 3 kids up here. So all that being said, I do think there needs to be a collective solution. If a larger conversation about through the comp plan or with additional information about what other localities look like is included, I think that's fine. But I do think there needs to be support from all perspectives here.
Additional comments or perspectives? Would anyone care to make a motion whether to recommend to council that they approve the text of the new section, or recommend that disapprove it, or recommend that we defer action on it? I guess we can defer a recommendation. That would be the appropriate.
I'll move to defer pending a larger conversation and additional information.
I'll second that.
So just for the minutes, Mr. Crude has made a motion that the Planning Commission defer making a decision on ZTA 25-001 to Town Council. And Mr. Patterson has seconded that motion. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Ms. Watson, can we take a vote, please?
Ms. O'Connor, Mr. Weiss, Ms. Fraley,
Sorry, I was not expecting me to be third. Yes, aye.
Mr. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Crude,
Aye.
Dr. Miller,
Aye.
Ms. French.
Aye.
All right, the motion has passed to defer approval, to defer a recommendation of the ordinance. And yes, Ms. Atkins-Olson, if you could collect some information, please, and we can bring this up again, hopefully as soon as possible. And we also have 2 other members of the commission on board to share their perspective as well. All right, our next item of business is old business. Kind of the one thing, since it's been brought up before, is there any update on the timeline, or is the suggested revisions or input still being reviewed for the comprehensive plan update?
Inputs are still being reviewed. Staff did take the comments from the planning commissioners, compile them into one document, and sent those to all commissioners and the town manager. As of right now, there's no timeline set for when those discussions are going to start.
Okay, thank you. Any other old business? Any other updates?
Yes, I will say that in your packet, you also have a copy of the approved minutes from the joint planning commission and town council meeting for your information.
All right, thank you very much. Next item of business is new business, and we have our typical memo with the updates of y'all's training. Thank you all very much for your commitment to professional development. I know that's oftentimes on top of what your daily duties are, so we're grateful for that investment in the town and y'all's professionalization. Any questions about the memo, the monthly report? Other items of business from the commission?
I can give you some updates on old cases.
Sure.
If you'd like.
That'd be good.
POD 24004, the Dominion Energy Expansion Project. We have received the performance bonds for ENS and stormwater permit from DEQ. We had a pre-construction meeting on Monday, August 11th with the project stakeholders. They had anticipated mobilization for that Tuesday, the 12th. So believe they have begun demolition. CUP 25-003, the ADU on First Avenue. Staff met with Mr. Blinko and his contractor to discuss the need for building plans and a site plan. No anticipated date for bringing this back to Planning Commission for a vote. POD 25-001, the Sheets demo and rebuild. Performance bonds for ENS have been received. Our last correspondence with Prince Edward was that the stormwater permit had been issued, but the bond had not been received. So we're awaiting that bond. We have been in contact with the engineer to work on scheduling a pre-construction meeting, so no anticipated start date for that demolition. Next meeting is going to be September 17th at 7. We have received one conditional use permit for religious assembly in an R3 district. So that will be the one public hearing you will have next month.
All right, save the date. Other items of interest? Other items of interest? Then do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Mr. Crude has moved to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Fraley is second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.